All right. Well, let's get down to business. Welcome to One Page Story Extravaganza, episode 172. Sweet guacamole. I didn't know numbers went that high. Okay. Hi, my name is Christopher, and or Runcy Man. And this is a notice up on the screen right now for anybody in the London, Ontario, Canada region that the London Comic Jam that I run each month is on tonight. And so if you come on down to the TAP Art Gallery downtown, join in. Let's make some comics. Okay. Today's page is Face Facts. Face Facts is the title's because it's a bunch of faces. See how that works there? And the whole notion of the modification of the faces and stuff to be uniform, because when I drew these on Friday, came about on Friday, because on Friday as I was drawing them using different methods, and so I just built on that and then added some textures in there, and then did the story according to Frank Salazar's suggestion of there is no rest for the wicked, but there are cookies. Thank you for that, Frank. This was a lot of fun to do. The other page that I'd started on Friday, right after I drew this, I posted today as well, and that was Tibet, because I just had a busy weekend. So this page is Tibet. Tibet was painted using 4 craft paints and on a piece of photocopy paper that had a Tibetan monastery on it. So I incorporated the Tibetan monastery into the image, and then the mountain, Mount Everest there, and all the faces were put on, just on the spot, just painted straight on. So this was a lot of fun. But both of these things were done Friday, and off to a busy weekend. So I owe my my Patreon supporters some extra stuff, because I didn't show them anything extra and special. I usually do something on Friday and Saturday and just put it on Patreon. And this weekend I didn't do that. So I'm a bad man. The piece that we did on Friday was the vulture turkey. Thursday was the vulture turkey piece. And that is the last of the 4 zine swamp pieces that I did. So there's the piece for the 1 page, and then there it is in its original format, which is wackadoo if you're trying to read that. But I'm going to switch cameras to show you. So here is the this is just notes on something else. Here is the 4 pieces. Maybe I'll just put 1 of each on here, and everything's printed and folded and ready to rock. I've got a big, let me see if we can get that in front of the overhead. I've got a crazy jam-packed, and it's 2 layers thick of zines that are going to Janet for the zine swap. And then these are extra ones that'll be going to London Comic Con. So the piece that you just saw, which looks absolutely crazy when you see it in its folded out state, but when you fold it up as a bookie, it works pretty clearly. I like it. I'm happy. The color quality is a million times better from the Staples printers, right? Same on Beavers. Beavers came out really well. And I got them all folded in the book format, as opposed to the other way I was folding them before, just so it doesn't throw off anybody's collection of zines. This is the one that I tried to do everything as 2-page spreads. And that came together pretty nice. Happy with that. And then Hey You is the one that has an advertisement halfway through it. And then it just has a little finishing sequence at the end. So these are the 4 zines for the zine swap that I've done, and yeah, I'll be showing some of those at the jam tonight. But this was a lot of fun, this whole project, and I think that what we're going to be doing is I'm making notes on my calendar. Lori and I picked me up a calendar recently to try to get organized. Oh, jeez. And so what I've got down is that Tuesdays is officially going to be 3 Prompt Tuesdays, right? Mondays is Deep Think Mondays. So that's what I wrote. You clearly see we're having some serious deep thoughts today, some existential whatnot. And then Friday is Fun Time Friday. And Friday is where I just go for broke on something and say, ha, you don't get to see it for 2 days. So, yeah. So I was looking at the book, trying to make sure I have everything transferred over to it. I told people I'd let them see what's going on in Sketchbook a little more often these days. Let's see. Yeah, so this is from Sunday. This is the first 4 days. So far, I know there's more days to do. And then we all rest. There's at least 3 more days. Anyways, so this was fun, right? There's and it was, and then there's the clouds and the water, and then there's the earth rises up, and then there's the sun and the moon. Sun and the moon and the earth. Okay. Let's see what else we got going here. Sorry, I'm washing out the camera. I apologize for that. So, how far away are we here? Okay, so I've got tons and tons of the 1-page suggestions written down in one spot finally, which has been a challenging thing for me. So, we're getting there. We're getting organized. But we're still filling off. We're still ticking off a whole bunch of stuff that is yet to be accomplished. And it's fun. I mean, it's fun, the whole idea of the 1-page ideas and having to complete a piece. I got to get this blank piece out of here. That's what's really blowing up the camera. Sorry. I'm so sorry for that. Okay, much better. Isn't that better? All right. The 1-page suggestions and ideas they're fun. They're just fun. And if you're looking for something to engage yourself creatively without having to go through that whole process, because some people have a really hard time with idea generation. See, I'm doing it again with a stupid black paper. All right, let me get this out of there. Okay, so some people have a really hard time with idea generation, and you shouldn't. And the reason I say you shouldn't is because the reality of what it actually isn't the idea generation part. The reality of what it is the just lean into it part. Just accept whatever notion you're going to come across immediately and dial into that. Corbin's sleeping beside me. I just woke him up. Then we'll get nothing done. Boy, this kid, I tell you. Okay. All right, what do we got? We got some people saying hi already today. I'm sorry. Marsh, how you doing? Welcome aboard, sir. Hello, hello. How are you? How are things going? I really liked your interview with Jim the other day. That was fantastic. I say the other day because I completely lose track of time. It was a great interview. I try my best to get out to see different streams and see what people are doing, and I'm lousy at it. The reality is that I'm a workaholic. But thank you so much for stopping in and joining in. If you got a 1-page story idea, throw it at me. We'll put it in the book. Okay, so there's a skill testing question on the screen today, and that is, why can't you see an elephant when it's hiding in the woods? And the answer is because they're really good at it. So that's my fun joke. Thanks for watching. Yeah, Jim is always fun to have on. You know what, Marsh? I got to get you on here at some point in the future, pal. I really want to have you come and hang out with me at some point here. So let's figure that out. Let's figure out a time of day when we can do that. Maybe I should have a day of the week where I just have people come out. See, that's tricky because I'm trying to plot the week so people know what I'm doing each day. But yeah, that's tricky because, day jobs and all that stuff. But yeah, we'll figure it out. But thank you. It's anybody that might watch this that hasn't seen that, get over there and watch Marcia's stream. It's got some fun stuff on it. Yeah, it's Marcia's one of the first people I came across in this larger community, and cool dude. I'm gonna tell everybody, cool dude. Okay, so what do we got right now? I've got a couple of different things. I've got some jelly-plated. This is actually not jelly-plated paper. This is the Braillard paint paper. This is a jelly-plated page that I might work on today. It's a random bunch of street information that is sort of overlapped. I kind of like it. We'll just have to fit a narrative on it, and I haven't picked one yet for today. So, but I think we might use this sucker just because it's shiny and pretty. Mar says, man, love to come on. Also, I have you on to talk about your book of tricks Didi was telling me about. Would you like to see the book of tricks, Marsh? This is the book of tricks. Oh, I'm a book of tricks. That's it. A book of tricks is where I write down all of the suggestions and ideas that people give me, and then I go through them. And you get a fair amount over time that just adds up. Today's page is number 252 since the start of the year. So that's a lot of tricks. But I write everything down, and I try to do everything that I can. And I go back and see stuff that I missed, and hey, why don't I take a swing at that one today? And lift up my notes and whatnot that I've got down and make sure I got everything underneath it done. And take on the 3 prompts challenge that Didi puts out. We just did I don't know if you're here for this, the zines, for the zine swap. And I've done some of those. And I've got 4 different kinds that I did this month for the zine swap. So those are fun. They're a lot of fun. And I never, it's a funny thing. I've done, comics like in this, Marsh, you've seen this. I've done comics before in profile format, comic book format of the 1-page suggestions. And in the last year, I switched formats from the portrait format, which is, vertical, to the landscape format with the binding on this side, which is horizontal. And the reason that I did that is that I'm starting to become concerned after 30 years around this industry that we're limiting ourselves by just having us in this uniform format. We need to get back onto the bookshelves and bookstores instead of just being relegated into the catch-all comic section of the chapters or something. So I'm trying to think of things. Marsh says, I gotta switch screens here. Hold on. I'm gonna switcheroo. Marsh says, I've been playing with my jelly plate, having a tough time getting good results so far. It's timing. It's timing is what I found out. So you want to have a clear, membrane of the paint on the surface of the jelly plate, and then roll off the excess with your brayer. And that's where I roll it on the colored cardstock, like so that I get this fantastic stuff. And I'm going to hold this up to the camera, so I'm sorry if it flashes for a sec. But do you see that crazy texture? Woo, that's fun to draw on. It's actually challenging, but at the same time, save these too, because these are awesome to work on. But then it becomes a case of you get the image, you transfer the image, you have to have the right kind of paper, magazine, photocopy, whatever to do it from. And then it's time. It's all about time. And the worst part of it is there's no trial and error period. I'm going to try this image this way, because then you've wrecked the magazine. So unless you bought a second magazine image to use, you've lost that image from your trial and error. So it's challenging, but people figure it out. I'm getting better at it now. But Marsh says, I love the idea of different formats too. Sorry to talk a lot. Been meaning to chat with you, really. Man, you are welcome to chat your face off on this stream. This is an open-ended stream. I love people chatting and having fun and yucking. And hey, it's Chris Kalu. How you doing? Aren't you supposed to be teaching, young lady? Chris, I watched your stream with Miriam making zines. Awesome. I got to see all your students' zines as well, and those were great. Okay. Let's see, what do we got? Let's not monkey around. Let's just draw and paint. I gotta find a thing to work on. Love the texture. Textures are great. Textures are so good. They're so fun to start as a. There's a complexity challenge that you can get out of textures when you initially have them as your flat surface to work on. I'm going to pull something up for a sec, though. Trying to find let me think of a really good example. It'll be the last folder. It's ridiculous at this point. I'm trying to remember what folders things are in. I have, here it is. Okay, so I'm going to pull this image up. This is a brief history of not going. So this is the cast-off of jelly plates. This image here is the rolled out surface. And so you get all this fantastic surface modulation and you can see the sweeps of the brayer across the horizontal plane on the page, and this rough structuring of it. And I tend to apply images down as though that doesn't matter. And that's just a foundational thing or a texture thing that roots underneath whatever the source image is. I found out recently about something called reverse coloring, and I thought, is that what this is? It's not. I realize it's not now. Reverse coloring is where you're doing some interface with the background. And I realized that a lot of the times I'm eliminating the background for a larger part of it. And in order to have you focus primarily on the forefront imagery for the storytelling. But the implementation of that background allows you to have more visual complexity in your work. So it's a free one, basically. It's a free one for creatives to have just a little something in there that people would go, ooh, how'd you do that? I rolled paint on a piece of paper, right? But you don't have to tell them that. It's just, that's why I say it's a free one. It's one of those things where we just get these little opportunities along the way. Okay, so I've got, I did that one. See what I mean? I keep coming across things going, what in the world? Did that. Okay, there's my joker for the day. So, yeah, there's a whole bunch of ideas pending right now, and I think I'm going to think of one of those, unless anybody puts in the chat today a one-page suggestion or one-page idea for today, and I'll just jump right into that one. Because for me, there's no preparation to anything in advance to whatever I'm working on. That's not the point. The point is to the immediacy of it and to have fun. And to me, that's done. That's done. Good heavens, I got to keep up with my book, the Book of Tricks. You know what I should do? I should instead of this premium sketchbook image that's on the front of my book. Let me switch cameras once more. Instead of this premium sketchbook, I should actually put a Book of Tricks thing on it. There's some fun ones in here. If only I could. The Day We Meet, another Frankenstein's monster one. I've done a number of these Frankenstein monster ones where he's a kid in grade school or he's doing his driving test. Recently, we had him designing a fashion clothing line. There's a couple that haven't seen print yet of he's going to a rodeo. I never showed it. That's all, because it's still in the profile format or the portrait format, and I'm working in the horizontal now, so I don't know what to do with it. I got a question. Mar says, how do you get over the temptation to make the project larger than one page? I struggle with keeping projects small. And then Mar says, I love the Frankenstein ones. Those are my favorite. There's a special treat coming up. Anybody that buys the book as it comes out, the new book, which is being put together for printing now, we have extra pages that we're printing that I couldn't print into the book because of stuff with my publisher. About making sure that it's clear of any potential litigation. So anybody that orders copies of the book, and shows me that they got one in a video or whatever it is, we have printed pages of material that we couldn't put in the book. And one of those is the Universal family, where I blended all the Universal monsters with the Brady Bunch. So anybody that likes that Frankenstein one is going to like that one. How do I get over the temp? I need a bigger brayer for my jelly plate. Depends on the size of your plate. I got an 8x10 plate, and I have a 6-inch brayer, and that is more than ample. That's more than ample. But yeah, that works for me, and it relative in cost to $18 Canadian, so relative in cost to a smaller one. Okay, Marsh says, how do I get over the temptation to make project larger than one page? Struggle with keeping projects small. The objective for one-page stories is to have it done for tomorrow. So so I leave it as one page as story extravaganza, because that allows me the cushion that it just needs to be a page, right? We're just looking at analyzing some piece of story or greater narrative or some structure like that within a page. And if it goes over a page, so be it. And if you look back through, all the Instagram posts, or if you're on my Substack and you can see how they come out at each week, because Substack is just the pages as they came out and what the suggestion was for them. And I'm 2 weeks behind them. Those will all be up tomorrow. But I have a 10-page piece in there, right? I've done a 6-page, a 4-page, a 3-page, a bunch of 2 pages, 2 10-page pieces in this whole period of time. And it's challenging to maintain that productivity, to maintain that creativity within a structure of time. So those things that are longer, they won't be a one-day thing. That'll be something that I'm like, I want to play with this a little bit more, and it'll be a side idea. And that's why I leave those for the weekend, because then I don't have the constraint of time like in my daytime as I do. I like to get a bigger brayer. Sometimes mine leaves lines, which I don't always mind, but sometimes I don't want that. It's pressure, I think. Or that you got to clean it. Are you interested in making larger stories like a full floppy or graphic novel? One-page comic extravaganza is my 30th book. So Elmwood, the series that I did called Elmwood, I did 11 issues of. Short story release is 4 books of short stories, 1-page to 6-page, 8-page. Radio theater, I did 4 of those. So it's not that I have any aversion to longer form narrative. It's just a commodity. There's a different form of conveyance when you're working on smaller amounts of projects. Like when you're working parceled, it allows you to produce more in a more effective way. But at the same time, it forces massive growth on you creatively, I think. At least I'm finding. Chris got to go. Bye, Chris. Good luck today. Back to teaching. So, it's the idea of larger pieces like a graphic novel. That's fine. I don't mind. Of course I do that. I have 2 books sitting right now that I've decided not to further. I've got an 80-page book called Stream of Conceitedness that I was in the finishing stages of and just put it aside because when I drew that in 2020, 2021, my style has structurally changed so much that if I put it out now, it's kind of like it would just irritate me because of how much I look at it and want to change. Elmwood, I have to do the last book of the Elmwood series. I'm not going to do it as number 12. I'm just going to do a standalone, big, nice prestige thing. And I'm already working on it, but a standalone Elmwood that encapsulates everything that happened in those 11 issues to take us to the, the big moment in the book. And and just have the culmination of the whole series for that, so that way people that picked up those old issues aren't ripped off and left out, but at the same time it just elevates the quality of it because again, styles change so much. And it has a lot to do with how much time, when you're limited on your time for producing material, your brain gets really, really enabled to come up with angles and alternatives and to do impactful things that you might not normally do, and entirely because you are, you're caught in the immediacy of it. Marsh, if you want, I can send you a link and you can join in, buddy. I don't mind that either. I think that'd be fun if you want to come and join me today. I'm only on for like an hour and a half, 2 hours tops. Okay, I gotta pick a thing here and get crack-a-lackin'. What am I doing? Let's do The Day We Met from Miriam. That's been outstanding. Miriam's given me a couple good suggestions that I have not followed through on some of them. So, The Day We Meet and The Day We Met. I'm so sorry, Miriam. I can send it. I can send you a link on Facebook if you want to join me, Marsh. Boom, 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 boom. I got Credence in my head today. How do I search? There. Okay. There we go. It's coming together now. All right. So, it'll just be a second and I'll get things moved along. So, The Day We Met is the suggestion for today. I think I'll just start with, I don't know, just cracking into the image here. I've got this fun pattern on one side, and then I've got this interlacing of this sort of street context that we can embed into some of the panels. And, this is fun to divide up in 4 ways, and then you've got 4 pieces of street scenes with the same accommodation. Okay, that sounds cool, buddy. Thank you. Well, I'll get you an invitation at some point, and we'll figure out a time and a date. Let me know when you on Monday to Friday. So let me know when you want to jump in. Okay, so The Day We Met is what I'm going to chase after today. I don't have any specific notions of anything to do, really. But that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about that's the fun of it. So, okay, I got something. All right. So, let's see how this turns out. Oh, this might work. Oh, no. that was quick. Will you go on there? Look at you. Okay, we're drawing a red pen. All right, so I've got an image I'm going to put down, but I think that what I'll try with, we're looking at a horizontal plane. We've got a pre-supplied sub image, But how are we going to divide the page? Now, we know in Western Comics we start here, we end here, but the rest of it is all up to us to break the rules. So we can do a large image here and a couple of small images there. That's always fun. I think we can do 2 large images here and some small images there to push the narrative. Thinking. Let's do this. Let's leave a piece here for the typeface to go over top of. And then we'll do our first image in this section right here. And yeah, let's work with red pencil and marker and or paint. What do we want to do? I'm easy like Sunday morning. Let's just get cracking. Is this even going to show up? Yeah, no point here. Okay. That's how the decisions get made nice and quick. So I'm going to do a little romantic relationship thing. Now, as usually happens with me, the narrative, the structural narrative comes together while I'm working, right? And there's no preconceived notion. I've got an image I'm starting with. I'm just going to get moving on it. And, you know, as I move along and as I come closer to some, you know, just a collection of a couple of images, that narrative will naturally build itself up. It's that kind of allowance into, you know, how we intuitively look at our work. If allow yourself that, it frees you up to just make and not be too concerned about it. You know, that's why, what's your idea? Okay, let's go, you know. So when I'm in front of a class and the kids will just be barking ideas and suggestions at me, and I got like a horse playing goalie in the net during hockey. That was one that I did for a summer program at the library. I came in to do a session with them, and that's what I had to start with, you know, a horse playing goalie in the net. Thanks, kids, you know. But that's fine. Okay, so now I've got an image of a friend of mine that she sent me. I'll show you. So that's why I'm focusing so much on the face. But she went to a wax museum and she met Nicolas Cage. And she said, look who I met in Vegas and I'm spending some time with. And I really had to double take it before I realized, oh my God, that's a wax thing. I'm like, did she meet Nick Cage? Because I am an imbecile. So she got me. Good one. By the way, it's not hard to get me like that. I just assume everybody's being honest. Look, I'm really dating Nicolas Cage. So the day we met is now, it's because she got me that way. I'm going to get her back and put her into this one-page story of the day she and Nicolas Cage met. I've done Nicolas Cage before. Recently, I had Nicolas Cage in, well, I think he was in the last comic, the comic Extravaganza, where at the start of the pandemic, Nicolas Cage was giving the Queen's address to the British people at the beginning of the pandemic. Nicolas Cage was dressed up as Elizabeth and was given the update for her. And I did my best to channel Nicolas Cage for that. So, you know. All right. So I don't know how fixed the red marker is going to be, but we're going to play. So I'm working with the same yellow. I've got the same constrained rule system here as I do there, but hopefully getting some of this yellow down in here is going to pop this up a little bit more. I recognize how challenging that is to see right now. So whatever people are working in, whatever your medium that you've chosen in the moment or has chosen you because it's all you got in your pocket, just go for it. Just lean into it. Just play with the constraints of that particular material that you're using, because that's how you find out how to get the things out of that tool that you might not have considered. But just make a mess. There's no rules. Nobody gets to tell you, oh, that's terrible. You didn't ask them. And if you did ask them, don't ask them anymore. So I'm trying to capture some of that smile. I'm going to upturn the lips a little bit more. And we'll get some. So I think I'll come in as well with a white, just to beef up some of the reflective surfaces in the face. But we can see the face is starting to come in together now. Again, if anybody has one-page ideas or anything else they want to chat about, I'd be keen to hear. Well, I want to know what people are working on too. And if you are taking part in the zine swap, are you ready? Are you ready for it? Do you have your zine pieces done yet? I know it can be very daunting, but reject that. Just get cracking on it. Just do whatever. You know, an embarrassing moment in an elevator. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's not the most perfect drawing I've ever done. Who cares? Just work. Put a hat on there. Marsh says, I have my zine mostly done. I just have to add the dialogue now. When does it due? End of the month. It's got to be to Janet for the end of the month. So you got some time. One of the ways that I pushed myself on the zines is that I did them as one pages. And I had two different formats. One is the one-page format, and more structured story, sequential story base. And then the other one was purely zine format. So it's just editing both simultaneously. And that way it still forced me to be getting them done and out within that 24-hour window that I set myself. But it's a lot of fun. But I look forward to seeing you, Marsh. So we're coming together here, building up these access points, and then putting her, she's got a big floppy hat on, so we're gonna put that in here. I'm diffusing the yellow as I put it down in order to soften its impact as a value. So I diffuse that with my finger. It's a lame old way of shading, toning it down. I don't know how many pieces that I have that have my fingerprints in it. It's got to be a lot at this point. And then I'm also allowing myself to utilize the backdrop color. I'm going to pull this up. So that background color from the plating process, like those oranges there, I'm allowing that color to bleed through, to not be covered up, in order for it to facilitate halftones for us. That's where the those background areas, those background surfaces come in really handy. All right? The cat's is over there sneezing their face off. So one of the pages for that I did, that I posted today, the face facts page, a couple of the faces there I drew with both hands at the same time, and another one was with only my less dominant hand, and I was just trying different things just to get the face down, and then I just uniformly put them into a similar like a similar approach to the finish. But that was a lot of fun, that page. What is your zine about, Marsh? I'm curious if you don't mind letting the secret out. So I'm doing the same thing with the red. I put the red down and then I tap it with the same fingertip, and it allows a diffusion of that red value. So it's not as opaque, but it's still there. It's trying to take a limited amount of tools and make the most of it that we can with them. So I'm doing a romance story. Something I don't often do. I went with a zine DD prompt, which was Lizard Farmer Vines. Nice. That's a good series of prompts. There's a whole bunch of stuff you could pull out of that. That's a lot of fun. I had Cowboy. Oh no, it wasn't Cowboy. No, Vines was this one. I think I got it here. Hold on. Yeah. This is the one I did for Vines. It was toucan almond vines, and so this vine pattern that I kept placing into everything was my workaround. It's a toucan who's obsessed with his big bag of almonds and throws away his entire, his relationships and everything else, because of his covetousness of his big bag of almonds. What a dumb story idea, but that's a typical Chris story idea. I'm looking forward to yours. Yeah, what do you got? Lizard Farmer. Oh, so good. So many fun things you can do with that. I'm really, yeah. There's Terry Brett is another person who gets a lot of prompts on GD Willingham stream and does a number of different prompt pieces throughout the week, and they're great. They really are fantastic. But the way that she imagines, because she does them in a single panel narrative, and the way that she puts together these things, there's a real level of mastery to it. It's like she's developed a short language for how she goes about it. Marsh says it's a photo collage, and I'm going to add sort of iconic poetry for the dialogue. Nice. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's the stuff. All right, so we're just getting some more different textures down here. So those raised surfaces. Oh, pulled that back too far. All right, so I gotta get this mailed off to Janet today, we've printed a bunch of them that we're going to have at our. I've got the London Comic Con this weekend, and so we're going to have a bunch of those at the table. So that'll be fun. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the photo collage. That'll be cool. There's so many neat approaches that you see here on the U of Tubes, and you just get to see so many different perspectives on conveyance, of an image or of an idea, and it's very compelling to me. I think I might switch to like a red paint mark to fill in a large conform block. So. Fill that in there. All right. Just curious, I'm poor at the moment, but do you sell your original comic page art? I do. I usually have a binder available at shows if people want to pick up things there. Otherwise, if there's like on the Patreon, it's $3 a month, but I show all the original art on it that goes into making whatever pages, whatever pieces I'm working on at any given moment. And so that's one way to see original art. Or it's I have behind me. Hold on, let me see. Well, now if I switch the camera, it's going to be a pain in the butt. Hold on, I'll switch to the other one. Switch the cat cam. So over here on my bookshelf, this big stack right here, which is, that thick now, that's pages. These are all pages of the stuff that I've done since the start of the year. So I haven't been actively putting things out. Really, just haven't really gotten myself organized enough to do that. We started updating the website and getting things together on that, and my wife is now taking the reins to try to get me a little more organized when it comes to branding and all the other sort of jazz. Okay, so we've got our first character coming in, and then we're going to get right into our second in a second. But yeah, if there's anything that you like, let me know. We'll figure something out. I could say, get it together, Chris. Put that stuff on your website. What are you doing already? All right. So this is, I appreciate you asking, Marsh. It's very nice. Usually there's I find this when I've done shows. I don't know about you, but usually there's a type of thing that people like when they're asking. Like, is there people, and I'm just kind of curious for curiosity's sake, if there's a type of thing that I'm doing that is what you're liking. Bearing in mind, a lot of the art that I do isn't just flat finished images. A lot of it is, but a lot of it isn't. Because I'll draw on multiple pieces of paper and cardstock and just Photoshop them together. Where are you? Yeah, let's use it. No, you're not the nicest way, but you'll do. It helps. This guy looks like the kind of guy that I've drawn right now that would steal the Declaration of Independence. That's right. It's a Nicolas Cage reference. Part of it is I'm always curious how creators are doing business, but also I really like what we're working on today. The colors and textures are great. Oh, thanks, Marsh. Yeah, it's a challenging thing. Okay, so here's how I structure my day. My mornings are spent doing stuff other than this. You know, if it's a different project, if it's work for hire, whatever it is, that's the mornings. And then my afternoon, I've got the stream and the that goes from and I'll work live on a one-page idea right then and there, and that goes for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then I get back to around the house stuff, and the way of the house husband, because I'm at home and Laura's working in the office, and why shouldn't I be doing stuff? So then we'll have a bite to eat, we'll watch some shows or whatever, and then because I have always had a problem with sleeping, I will work until 12 or 2 in the morning. And I usually get up. Well, this morning I was up at 5, but I usually get up 7, 8 o'clock. So you try to get productivity in different parts, just parcel it in different ways for your day. So how you can structure how you earn is those work for hires or those other projects, and then you try to always think about multiple output in your production. Like a recent thing that I found is really conducive to multifaceted marketing is the idea of the zine books, because I do them as a one page that can be then collected into one of the one-page anthologies. But it's also at the same time able to be folded up into a little zine for things now. That's brand new to me. And I can't believe that after all, we've been publishing since 2015, Lori and I, and we've put out 73 books, 30 of which were mine, and not now. The publisher I'm working with now is not me. I'm not publishing a new book, but in all those things that we did, I can't believe I've never done a zine before. I considered the application of that into this scenario. So, I mean, you start to think about those things as time goes on. I'm assuming you work for hire illustration. Yeah. I'll I did a Sasquatch book recently that as well, and I've had a couple of other things that are on the docket, and then got some schools lined up that I'm going to go to and talk about creativity in the daily life and storytelling. I'm looking forward to that. So, schools will give you a bursary for doing that at times. And it's busy, hustling around and doing stuff, but I don't mind it. That, and I worked for years, and now that the kids are all grown up and we're in a place where the house is ours, I don't have as much pressure on me as I love the one-page zines. Yeah, I've never done them before. This one is literally my first one-page zine. Hey you, did you hear me yell, hey you? Yeah, even an armadillo could have heard it. That's one of the 3 things, armadillo. Right away I got it in there. They can use hammers, 2 things, any tool. And here they are laughing. Ha ha, laughter. 3rd thing, bang. Yeah. There's my 3 prompts. But they're a lot of fun. And they make really the availability that they give you for effective storytelling in a limited amount of space is really cool. And yeah, I look forward to seeing other people's zines. I've always got a kick out of zines. I always thought they were great, but I just never actively did any. It's a challenge to get your work out there. But at the same time, it's starting to come together for us right now. Like I just updated the. Well, we're in the process of doing it, but we've already got some of the updates on the website, and some of the things that are on the website is really one of those things that sort of informs you, oh, things are going well enough, things are moving along. And so it's the challenge of allowing yourself to celebrate those and, not that you're using them as marketing tools, but to acknowledge the fact that people are starting to see what's happening. Because I've only been on online doing anything for 2 years now. And the rest of the time, I was one of those old school fuddy-duddies working in person. So I'm still undergoing the big learning curve. I know that people like Marsh, and Dee Dee and others have been online for a long time and have great insights and have experienced the whole gambit of the early complex challenges of connecting to people online in the beginning and compared to maintaining that energy after X amount of time. It's a lot. Hopefully that shirt. Yeah, okay. I can see. Every now and then I got to look into the camera to see how it's showing up on there. For me, half of this image is just glare because there's the yellow, there's the really light green underlay, but the texture that's here is a gold. And so all this is a glare to me. Like it's just a big or gold orange glare, if you know what I mean. Like you look at gold from certain angles, it has an orange value to it. You look at it from other angles and it's a yellow. It's just greedy. It wants all the colors. Appreciate the questions. Anybody else has any questions, you're always welcome to ask too. Hey Chris, what's wrong with you? My mom says I'm an excellent swimmer. I had a stream the other day that I finished, and I talked about, hey, ideas. Just find whatever ideas come your way. And, one of the reasons that I engage in one page is I sort of try to encourage people and inspire them to dream up ideas and just execute them on their own. But, I also, I've got tons of ideas and never-ending amounts of notes of things I want to do. But it's fun. It's fun taking a random challenge that I wouldn't have considered otherwise and having to do it as a page. And immediately after I was talking about this during a stream, somebody texted me and said, "Where did ideas come from?" What? And I knew that they were in the stream. I'm like, yeah, this is it, all that stuff. One advantage of starting later is most of the mistakes have already been made, so they're easy to avoid if you pay attention. Like online mistakes of behaviors and stuff like that, or do you mean like don't go with that website, or because I'm pretty sure I'm still making lots of mistakes. But when it comes to engagement and stuff like that, I'm still just me. I'm pretty on the plate, but I'm also older, so I recognize that I'm going to have ways of behavior that are sort of preset and can't do much to refine them any more than whatever's already been happening. I feel like this marker is always going to be problematic to be wiped off. Maybe not. Maybe when it dries. Yep, online business and marketing. Yeah, see, the marketing part is just baffling to me. But also because of investiture. I don't know how much I actually have really been focusing into the marketing part of it. I am now. Like there's some pretty obvious marketing things that we've got on the website now. But that's, and the fact that we're signing everything Run CMan now, just because why not? It helps people figure out who I am easier than me trying to explain it half the time, or how ridiculously long my name is. So we're learning. Where am I at? So now I'm up to this. This is my tools so far. This red is what I'm filling in for cage. This is the red that I'm filling in for T. There's just trying a couple of different tools. Is there anybody else that's come on, online and are having whatever interesting learning curves along the way? I'm curious about that. Or anybody like Marsh, what kind of foibles have you gone through over the years? You're with it long enough, you switch platforms. People do that a lot, I see. But I found this out. Here's some one of the things that I've gleaned. Instagram, younger people. Facebook, older people. And that's the internet in a nutshell, folks. All right. Okay, so my intent is to, let's get down to it. So this is my favorite ruler on planet Earth. I advocate it all the time. But if you have not tried one of these rulers, try it. They're like $10 Canadian, so that's like a nickel American. And they're fantastic for squaring. And what I mean by that is swearing? No, squaring. They automatically, because of all the lines across the surface, like you see, you can automatically square off your lines. Oftentimes when you're trying to rule something, you're moving the page around, or like this when you've got it clipped down. You got to unclip it and so on and so forth and dance around with that nonsense. In these suckers, you don't, because you can see all of the squaring lines across from it. It's probably got another name. I keep learning now that everything has different names than the crazy things I've called them for years in the studio. But really effective ruler. Okay, so now we've got, so you see I go right off the image here as well, because again, I'm not as concerned with what's in the, what's going on the page. I'll just draw flat over top of this section right here with this green part protruding through, because that's the fun stuff. That's the stuff that, allows it to be something. Let's see. Let me rethink this. Oh, look at it, just comes off. This kind of eraser. Where are we at? We're at 1 hour. We're getting stuff done. So the suggestion for today is the day we met. It came from Miriam. For anyone that might be joining late, anybody has one-page suggestions, you're always welcome to let me know. Put them in the chat. Tie them to the ankle of a bird, release it out your window, and hopefully it finds my house. Let me know if you're going to do that. I'll put some crackers on the ledge of my window. Trying to get this guy's face. Yeah, I'm always interested for what's going on with other people creatively. Are you trying new tools out? Are you, you in a situation right now where you're feeling, I got to get that juice going again? That was the folks in that. I saw a movie on the television as I was scanning through looking for something random to watch. And I didn't because I found something cooler, but I found a movie starring Nicolas Cage and John Cusack together as opposing forces against one another in this film. Like, I gotta watch this. This is like a perfect storm of we've pushed too far into our career actors. We'll do any role that comes our way right now, actors. And mind you, they're both of them occasionally produce the interesting thing, but occasionally produce just absolute. What are you doing? That's fun. There's a guy I know. He has a great review system for films where he says he can tell certain films that he just calls them paycheck. That's his whole review. Paycheck. Just because he knows that their heart wasn't in this one. And it's not because of direction, it's not because of production. You can see it in their performance. They're not into this one. It's paycheck. That or he calls it financing if he knows that they are also, produce and direct their own projects. It's financing. Here's a fun fact. This guy's ear is upside down. Just the shape of his ear is shaped upside down. See what I'm sorry I'm leaning over, but again, glare. We're getting there. I can't see much of it right now. Let me fill in some of the yellow along the way. So it just looks like I'm really involved in something that's barely legible. Just going into the emphasis points first. And then we go into the next value of that, the intermediate one from tamping it out. Posca paints markers. Oh, I like them. How can I have not known about these until a couple of months ago? There we go. How's that going? How's that? Oh, it's showing up. Okay. What's he doing in that? I can't even see what he's putting down there. What's the guy up to over there? There we go. Got this receding hairline in there. Woo! I like that he doesn't, he's not like some other actors that'll do everything they can to keep their hairline from receding like he is. Receding hairline. I got receding hairline. All right. Nope, it's way too heavy. Okay, so it's coming together. We're almost there. We got almost this first panel pulled together. So the reason I left the space up in here is for this text. It's going to go down. The day we met. And then it cuts over to, these two characters together posing for an image. And, but, the idea of telling the story is it comes along during the structure of the piece. And in the structure of this piece, the source image for this photo comes to me from a good friend who went to Vegas and got the picture with a wax dummy of Nicolas Cage and said, "Look who I've spent some time with this weekend." And I'm like, "Is that Nicolas Cage?" And then I realized it was a wax guy. So, why not play on that? Why not use that, utilize that key fact into the narrative and talk about the burgeoning relationship between somebody and a wax model. What am I missing here? Sorry, I had to dip out for a few minutes. Oh, thanks very much, Marsh. Glad you like it. Welcome back. Again, I apologize. I hope people don't feel left out. When I see something come up, I'll stick it on. But other than that, I keep going. So you're using reference, but no underdrawing. Yeah. I mean, I've got, like, I showed this image, right? Like, so here's the Nicolas Cage part. There's her part, right? But it's just one shot, and I got to make this entire narrative out of one pick. So it's, I can't draw in pencil on the surface because of the resistance to pencil, because of the glossy acrylic surface of it. So you can't just pre-draw it. So besides, one of the reasons that I tend to work in mixed media is I hate inking. I absolutely hate the notion of having to ink drawings. So my answer to that is just draw in ink. So then I don't have to worry about it. Which I realize might be a little counterintuitive. But, I'm not having to spend that time redrawing it. Winning. And because I tend to build composition across the surface as I go, I tend not to worry too much about underworking everything and smudging it. Are those paint markers? Yeah, I'm drawing. This is a Fudenosuke regular marker, and that's a postcard. So, and then these are, one's a postcard and one's a cheap generic Walmart brand. So, and they're rather unforgiving, but at the same time, you figure out workarounds. Gotta get that forehead in there. There we go. I love drawing straight in ink, but sometimes I really need more construction underneath. Well, that's the beautiful thing about you working and the next person working and the person beside them working. Anybody tells you that there's a specific set of rules that you have to follow, stop talking to that person. Because I am a firmly, it's not that I'm just against or opposed to the structure and rules that people, all have this sort of strange agreement to following. I just don't see the point of that. So if you want to do an underdrawing, do an underdrawing. If you want to draw in ballpoint, do an entire composition in ballpoint and then paint over it. If you want to draw in ballpoint, mix in charcoal, you're right, they're wrong. Do your thing. You'll learn the limitations and the benefits of whatever materials that you're using, but that's not going to happen unless you start slamming things together. So that's why I advocate people just go for it. Whatever it is, just go for it. If it works out, great. If it doesn't work out, well, see what you can get it to work into. That's, it's a universal thing that, like, it's funny. Here's a thought, okay? Of all the different schools or institutions or organizations that I've gone into over the years, the absolute worst group for I can't draw, I can't do anything that I've ever come across were university business students. I was at the business college or the business university here in London, and talking to Ivy graduates, which is like this premier program through University of Western Ontario, and teaching them storytelling and different ways of seeing and understanding. It's part of their sort of situational awareness in business, but every one of the kids in that class said they can't draw. And I said that every one of them are wrong. And the underlying principle for all of it is just square, circle, triangle. And the amount of complexity that a person can illustrate using just those three simple shapes and variations in and thereof. Once you tell those kids that I want you to look around the room and then look around as you're walking home today, etc. When I say kids, I mean I'm talking about from grades 3 through to university level. So, but mind you, my oldest kid is 32, so kids. But I'll say, look around and see whatever you can find that's a circle, that's a square, it's a triangle. And then imagine how you could draw that just using those shapes. And immediately, as soon as you say this in a classroom or in a sort of institutional setting, somebody goes, the clock's a circle. Immediately. It's really great. It's really great. Circle. Anyhow. Okay, so this is coming together pretty good with this. Let's put, let's not get overly specific on the background. Let's use this yellow, which is Again, we're not overly concerned about how it's going down. We just want a buildup of value behind here. But it doesn't have to be opaque. Now we can put some more complex patterns in here as we go, which we think we might, but in the interim, we just want coverage. Probably just be easier to paint this. Also, I let one of the grandkids use this one this weekend. I think they killed it. But it's doing the job, so happy days. Yeah, try everything. And don't be overly concerned about cost of materials in the sense that, well, I like to use the best, most archival quality of things. Unless you're doing pieces specifically for exhibiting in gallery format scenarios, you don't need to worry about all of that. There's enough materials and treatments and processes today that we can take something drawn on lined copy, lined foolscap or whatever it's called. I don't know what you call it in the States. And treat it so that it has the same archival quality of some fancy $600 per ream paper. But draw in paint, draw in jarred ink, where you just dipping pen and go. Use fountain pens, use toothbrushes, use dry brush, wet brush, use collage paper and images down onto the surface before you start working. So now you got to deal with all of that, or work on top of jelly plated surfaces. There's no rules. There is rules, but I tend to find rules are for people that are at a different, everything has to be done this specific way. It's because that's as much as they need that structure. And then there's going to be foundational rules that you are implementing in your head because you know certain things to consider in advance, like perspectives and stuff like that. That you just automatically work those in. Like I don't do workups. I don't do construction shapes to build up bodies and things like that because I'm already doing all that in my head. It's one thing to translate a source image. And like I say, don't just stand there staring at your source image. Stop looking at it after a while and let you come out. And that's where you're going to find your voice, your authentic voice. There's too many stories out here. We're producing too much material that's just generic. We're in an age where it's become, if this works, if this sells, stay with this and don't push past it. And we need to get rid of that. We need to stop that. We need to stop the allowance of that. It happens all the time. And then there's a destabilization in the art world, whether it's through industrialization or democratization of things. Like photographers don't hold the weight that they used to because it used to only be a rich person's pursuit, but now everybody's phone has a built-in camera. So that's democratized in the sense that anybody has access to attempting that format. Well, paint used to be an incredibly expensive thing, and it's not entirely inexpensive today, except for you can go and buy dollar jars of paint at a dollar store. That's democratizing. That makes the access of expressing oneself through paint accessible to everybody. So anything like that we can do, anything like that you can facilitate your creative output and expression with, do it. Well, I only buy the most expensive oil paints. Okay. That's fine. I exhibited at an event last year beside a lady that had a whole big setup beside me for her watercolors of birds and like. On the opposite side of me was another lady doing the same thing, but that was just a predominant imagery that they had in their work. And this one, selling her pants off. She's just selling. And the more egalitarian one beside me, that's I only use the best materials, and she's just chatting it up with a few people that she knew, by the way, that came there to see her and to chat with her. She wasn't there really to like the crazy artist that's trying to make connection with people through their visual work. She's doing it as as a hobby pursuit, and there's nothing wrong with that. But all of that, I have to use this certain material and these sort of things. If you're really this artsy person, the pieces that they had on the wall that are the same value as a person on the other side who's just, man, I love painting. It's a lot of fun, and I put myself into it. And, I use whatever I can afford. And this one on this side, the pomposity, nothing happens. They're not making communication and connection out to outward individuals. That one is. So don't worry about materials and all that stuff. Just work. You'll find things that do the thing you want it to do. It reminds me of the advent of punk rock. When rock and roll became so sophisticated musically, it was inaccessible to a beginner trying to make music. Do you mean like prog rock and all that stuff? And the answer to that was just pure grit and Yardie Boys and making punk music in the 70s. Like you got Yes and Marillion and King Crimson, and then you got the Sex Pistols. Or in North America, you had this really regimentalized music industry and all these smaller bands that can't get heard because nobody can see them. And then this one weird club in New York, really awful place to go, by the way. CBGB's has Television, Blondie, the Ramones. Like the list of bands, Talking Heads, the list of bands that came out of this one grungy little club. Patti Smythe, Underground, the Velvet Underground played there, I think. The Stones have been at CBG. Like, there's just amazing the amount of music that came out of one silly little place, and it was entirely because of the opposite, to the corporate expression that people think that that's the pinnacle. It's not. I think that if you go into a gallery and you look at three, pieces of electrical tape on the wall that somebody calls a drawing of the significance of hardship in today's urban society, and then you see on another gallery, you see somebody's painted the faces of all the people that they know on the bottom of a muffin tin, and they're this sort of primitive outsider art. I'd rather look at the muffin tin, because it does away with the artifice. And half of art these days, for you to have a modicum of recognition, has to have artifice. So that's a sad state. I don't dig prog rock. I'm even more inspired by the punk rock type of approach. See, I love a lot of prog rock. Big Yes fan. However, I'm not a prog rock guy. I've never understood people that just lock into one thing. I've always been the gross, gritty, make music because you have to do it thing. Like, Maureen Tucker, the drummer of the Velvet Underground, she put her drums on the ground and seldomly used the snares or the cymbals at all, because that's how she felt comfortable playing. But Velvet Underground's music, with Sterling Morrison, J.J. Cale, Lou Reed, that's great stuff. First major female drummer in rock and roll, by the way. They're just doing their thing in their unconventional way. And I like that. I like people that defy the convention. Unfortunately, right now, a lot of the alternative art scene is dialed into everything having to be alternative. They've corporatized alternativeness. And, that's brutal. How do you do that? And some of it's just god awful. And as there is in any kind of music, there's always something that's terrible. But then there's also fun ones, like we get like without that sort of allowance of every voice to be heard singing and appreciated for its own sound, we never would have had the Minutemen, Sonic Youth, the Ramones, right? So many unique things. I do dig punk rock, just more inspired by the punk approach. Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. It's my wife hates, by the way. My wife absolutely can't stand prog rock. She does not like. Yes, maybe it's the falsetto. I don't know, but you got her in a rush though. So I'm just throwing in another little pattern on the dress. Using some of the negative space to make flower patterns on the outfit, and allowing the bleed through of the background to add a little bit more interest and complexity to the backgrounds of the image, and not overthinking. Pavement, the Jicks, so many great bands out there. Wayne, They Might Be Giants. I listen to a lot of weird music. Musicality and skill and imagination of Frank Zappa or Pink Floyd is amazing. But yeah, give me a White Stripes album and I have it on repeat all day. Zappa's a composer. Like, that's the whole thing, is that some of these guys are... Like, Zappa was a musical composer. It's hard to fathom. Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead composes soundtracks for albums now. But, Pink Floyd's great, but, I would sooner listen to something just that, inspires you and encourages you and motivates you to get up and get moving. Not that I'm just dismissing the other work. I find that inspiration from that. Yeah, I completely love the more punky attitude of it. Pardon me. And yet at the same time, I know that a lot of people sing the praise of Nirvana. I am sick and tired of Nirvana. It's just, I was sick and tired of Nirvana years ago because it was so overplayed. There were so many other cool things coming out at the same time. I'm like, how are we missing this for that? That and Canada and the States are different countries, so there's a bunch of different pieces of music between the two. So I'm just cleaning up some of these edges. And then I'm going to leave that alone, and I'll get on to the next panel, and so on and so on and so on and so on. So we've already got our first two pieces of something here, with the space up above for the text, and then the first panel down below. And the reason that I'm doing it this way is I'm going to do the next panel here, and I'll show you. I'll lay it out. Slippery, shiny surface. There. So, and then move that line down this way. So you having to, here's our first panel, having the next panel have to be placed inside of that space enables me to move the viewer's eye, title, text into these panels. Your eye will read it like so. It's all about trying to challenge the conformity of the page. I got a really nice review recently that, that I got a really nice review that calls my work heterodox. I like that. Nirvana just got way too big, so I could see that. I feel the same about Zeppelin, even though I love them. so played out on classic rock stations. Yeah, you can't even listen to classic rock stations anymore if you want to love your old bands. But yeah, I agree, Marshall. And I absolutely love Zeppelin, but man, I cannot listen to it on the radio. It's like as soon as it comes on the radio, I'm like, nope, I choose Win, not you. It's ridiculous. I like Weezer. I think Weezer's fun, but I tend to like, you know, I tend to like him because I don't listen to the radio. If I listened to the radio and I heard him a lot, I wouldn't like him as much. In our house, we only play KUSC radio from Los Angeles. It's classical music. We only play classical music at home. White Stripes are great. Black Keys are great. PJ Harvey's great. Danko Jones. I like that gritty kind of rock. Rage. Like Rage. I wouldn't like him if I listened to the radio, though. All right, so you can see I'm going to have a panel here. This is just going to be a flat tone. And the reason that this panel is going to be a flat tone, and this is a good place for me to put the by Run C Man in. Marsh says heterodox. What a great word. I've never heard that until now. Yeah, it's a crazy one. I had to look it up when I got the review. Yeah, it's on my website. You'll see it. If you look at my website, you'll see the context of it and who said it. Because that one blew me away. So the idea here is that I'm going to have, I'll consider whether or not I'm going to keep this a uniform image in the background behind the text, or if I'm going to do a broad red outline around it. And Corbin has joined me. Hi. The cat's here. And then I'm going to do a flat color field in here. This is a good spot to put my little name, because what my intention is to utilize the title, text, 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 moving across this way and then this way. So we'll see how that goes. But it's all about incorporating some of these other elements. Is it time for lunch? What are you doing? Okay, so and now that I've got this first image drawn, I need to utilize this as my source material to carry on those characters' faces through the rest of it. There's no other provision of source images with the initial source photo I've used. So it allows me to get creative and to step away from heavy reliance on that. You know, let's just go. Let's just branch out. So that's always fun. But I think we're at 1:40. Do I have an idea of what the dialogue is going to be yet? Yes. Yes, I do. And so in my mind, playing on the foundation of how I received this image, which is somebody saying, look who I've met in Las Vegas. And then me taking a moment to realize it was a wax sculpture. Why not capitalize on that and have this be, whether I do it as a narrative or whether I do it as a recounting of somebody's trip to Vegas, the person here, I'm going to have her steal a wax statue of Nicolas Cage and try to run off into the horizon with him. So I know that is the foundation of my story. Specific dialogue at this moment, no. I try to simplify. I try not to use over extrapolated vernacular or any nonsensical phrases that are beyond the comprehension of most, because there's no point to that. It doesn't work for us. The whole idea of being a storyteller is that we want to tell stories. So that's my direction. That's my where I'm going with things. So we'll see how it goes. But either way, I'm going to sign off because I got a couple things I want to get done this afternoon before I have to go and do the comic jam in London here tonight and get a whole bunch of young people interested in drawing sequential media, corrupting young minds, getting kids to read. What the comic jam is, just before I go. Let me put that up on the screen. Just that's not it. That's not it. That's it. Okay, so the idea of the comic jam is okay. So the idea of the comic jam is that somebody starts. Okay, so try this out for whoever you might be able to get a chance to sit down with. Draw a first panel on a page. Okay. First panel, dialogue on the panel or not, whatever it is, just set the first panel. Flip it over, sign your name on the back, and slide that in the middle of the table. And you're done. You don't get to do anything more on that page. The next person has to come along and do the next panel. It's not complete the whole page or whatever. You've done the first panel. They do the next panel. Flip it over, name on the back, slide it in the middle of the paper, into the middle of the table. Third person comes along, next panel. There's no rules on the sizes of panels. You just want to maintain the integrity of Western eye movement. But it allows you to step outside of your comfort zone or step outside of the, there's an imposition of story ideas that you may not have taken on before you did this. And it's a lot of fun. We've been doing it since 2015. And the amount of people that we've had come through over the years that are off doing other things now is fantastically fun. But it's like an exquisite corpse, but with a comic page. And so, RP Comics, our comic company, we put out 7 volumes of this. And the amount of people that we get around the table that are all working on pages with other creators that they may not necessarily appreciate consciously, the engagement, the interaction with those other creators on the process. It's genius. It's fantastic. And I'm a big fan of it. So that's why I do this the second Monday of every month. Okay, I'm going to sign off for now. Marcia's fun video. Thanks for chatting. Hey, thank you. Thank you very much. You're always welcome. Anybody else, you're always welcome as well. I'm going to sign off for now. I'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. EST, 11 a.m. PST. I think that's it. And yeah, tomorrow is 3 Prompt Tuesday. 3 Prompt Tuesday. Yeah. So I'll post this tomorrow so that people can see the finished result. And the original art will also be on the Patreon. But we'll be back here tomorrow for 3 Prompt Tuesday. Thanks very much, everybody, for hanging out. And Marsh, it's great chatting with you and everybody else. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.